technologies, software, hardware, and online in this project.
Programs that I had to use in making the project were PowerPoint and Word. So these are two programs that we use almost every day, safe to say. But the way I had used them was different from their intended use. So I'm the production designer of the movie, which means that I had to make the props. And one of the props that I had to make were the recipe cards that were used in the kitchen scene. So it was really interesting learning how to use PowerPoint for something that isn't really a PowerPoint, but it was something more creative. So it was fun making those recipe cards and kind of figuring out how to make a PowerPoint slide look like a high class recipe card used at a fancy restaurant. Using Word was also interesting because the way I thought a script was written was almost how you see like a play written, but it isn't. Like you have different instructions. You have the interior and the exterior, and you have to describe an emotion the character's feeling or something like that. And it was really interesting to have to just kind of figure out the inner workings of that and how to write that on to put that onto paper. As for hardware, as I previously mentioned, I was a production designer for the movie, so I also had to do things on a physical aspect and not just an online one. So, from the point of view of doing things physically, I had to, the envelope that you see in the sequences is one that I made myself, and I really wanted the envelope to be something sort of distinct and something that you can see and be like, oh yeah, that's from this restaurant, or oh he's seen this before. And I wanted it to be something that the audience would recognize right away. I didn't want it to be a plain white envelope with a mailing address. I wanted it to have a distinctive feature, which is why I decided on the wax seal. Um, Other than that, there was a few other aspects of hardware that I had to use, but not for production designing elements, but for filming. We had to use the tripod and the cage because it was my first time working with a tripod, so I didn't really know. Well, not my first time because we had used it in other projects in school, but my first time using it outside of school. And it was interesting to sort of see how you could mess with the tripod and how you can find different angles just by like lowering a leg or tilting the camera or flipping things. Another piece of hardware that I had to use was a phone. It wasn't my phone though, so there was a bit of a learning curve for me as I had to use Gabriel's phone, and Gabriel's phone is a Samsung, and I have an iPhone, so it was kind of interesting to figure out how to get to the camera app because there was a few times that I would have to press the button and I'd have to, in the beginning, I'd have to ask for help to figure out how to get to the camera app. The last piece of technology that I had to use, or the last piece of hardware that I had to use, was my computer. My computer played a very big role in making, well, editing. For example, I need my computer to edit these videos, but also it played a huge role in the blog, which is an example of the online element of this project. So technology, it's safe to say, played a huge role in this project. So for online, the biggest thing that I had to kind of figure out learning was WordPress. WordPress was definitely a difficult program to learn how to use. There was one point that all my blog posts had gotten deleted and I had to figure out how to recover them. It was safe to say that was a very stressful day, but I recovered them all through a process that, if I'm going to be frank, I don't remember how. I think I created a wrong page, but anyway. But yeah, the blog was definitely something that I believe everyone struggled with in their own way. I think that the template I chose definitely made my life much easier because it was one of the more minimalistic and plain ones. I feel people who had more complex templates definitely struggled a bit more just because their templates had more inner workings that mine didn't. But yeah, WordPress definitely presented a challenge. Just even uploading a blog post at first was definitely difficult, and finding a way to make that blog post seem creative and not repetitive. was definitely something I had to learn how to do to make an engaging blog post that people would actually want to read. Um, Other online things that I had to learn was YouTube, learning how to upload onto YouTube and just sort of like how to set a what's it called the thing, learning how to set a okay, definitely learning YouTube was difficult just from uploading. I never realized how long uploading a video actually took until I had a late deadline and my video was going to take 2 hours to upload and it was due at midnight and I was uploading at 11. So that was definitely fun. But now I definitely have a better understanding of the amount of time management that would need to go in when you want to upload something into YouTube. Another online source that I had to use was SlidesGo. I use SlidesGo for all the PowerPoints. It's an online software that gives you templates for free to use. And that's what I use for the creation of all the PowerPoints that you've seen. Um, the last online resource that I used was DaFont. DaFont is an online database of fonts, and it allowed me to find the fonts that were used for the title of the movie Lucitas and also for the credits that are shown in the beginning of the movie because the basic fonts that come with DaVinci Resolve weren't working for us, so I had to do some research of my own to find those fonts. But yeah, it was definitely interesting learning how to use all these things in ways that one really doesn't really think of when you think of them. So yeah, thank you so much for listening and have a great day.